This is Marcus Webb, and you're listening to WEND-FM 104.7 on your dial. It's 11:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, November 15th, and I'm broadcasting from our studio in downtown Philadelphia. If you're listening to this, then your radio still works. That's something at least. I should be playing the overnight jazz program right now. Miles Davis, John Coltrane, maybe some Billie Holiday to ease you into the early morning hours. But tonight is different. Tonight, I'm the only one left in this building. Hell, I might be the only one left in this part of the city. And I have a story to tell you. The biggest story that's ever been told. The last story, maybe. 3 days ago, everything changed. Papers rustling. Let me start at the beginning. Let me tell you how the world ended, or how it's ending, present tense, because it's still happening out there. I can see it through my studio window. The sky looks wrong. It's been wrong since Tuesday. Tuesday, November 12th, 9:34 a.m. That's when it started. I was sleeping. I work the overnight shift, so my mornings are your evenings. My phone woke me up, not my alarm. A call from my producer, Danny. Danny never called me during the day, unless it was an emergency. "Turn on the TV," he said. His voice was shaking. "Any channel. Just turn it on." I stumbled out of bed, grabbed the remote. CNN was the first thing that came up, and there it was. The image that's burned into my brain, that's probably burned into all of our brains now. The thing over Los Angeles. They were calling it an anomaly at first. Meteorological experts were baffled. It appeared just after dawn on the West Coast. A massive structure suspended in the sky above downtown Los Angeles. Not a cloud, not a weather balloon, not anything anyone could explain. It was roughly triangular, they said, but the shape seemed to shift when you looked at it. It was dark, darker than anything should be in broad daylight, but it had these veins of light running through it. Purple light, violet, the color of a bruise. I watched for 20 minutes, switching between channels. Every news network had the same footage, helicopters circling this thing at a safe distance. News anchors struggling to describe what they were seeing. The FAA had grounded all flights in and out of LAX. The National Guard was being mobilized. The president was being briefed. And then, at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, it happened. The thing opened. I don't know how else to describe it. The structure, the ship, whatever it was, it opened like a flower, like a wound. And things came out. Long pause. Sound of liquid being poured, a drink being taken. I'm going to need to pace myself here. There's a lot to tell, and I want to get it all down, for the record. For whoever might hear this later, the things that came out. We didn't have words for them at first. Some people called them ships, some called them creatures. Looking back now, I think they were both. They were organic. That's what the scientists kept saying in those first hours. Biomechanical, semi-organic. They were trying to make sense of something that didn't fit into any category we had. They looked like rays, manta rays, but enormous. The size of commercial airliners. Their bodies were sleek and dark, with that same purple bioluminescence running through them in patterns that seemed almost like neural networks. They moved through the air like they were swimming, graceful and silent. Beautiful, actually. Terrifyingly beautiful. There were hundreds of them. They poured out of that structure over Los Angeles and spread out across the city. Within 15 minutes, they were everywhere. Downtown, Hollywood, Venice Beach, the suburbs. News helicopters tried to follow them, but that didn't go well. I watched one helicopter get too close. The creature, the ship, whatever it was, didn't even seem to notice it. But something happened. The helicopter's rotors just stopped. It dropped like a stone. Crashed into an office building on Wilshire Boulevard. That's when people started to panic. I live in an apartment building in Fishtown, here in Philly. By 10:30 a.m., I could hear sirens, lots of them. I looked out my window and saw people on the street, clusters of neighbors talking, pointing at their phones. Some were crying. Some were loading up their cars. I threw on some clothes and went downstairs. Found my neighbor, Mrs. Chun, sitting on the front steps with her radio. "They're telling people to stay calm," she said. She was 76 years old, had lived through a lot. But her hands were shaking. "They're saying it's just Los Angeles. Just stay calm and stay inside." But it wasn't just Los Angeles. By noon, there were reports coming in from around the world. Beijing, London, Snow, Paulo, Mumbai, Moscow, Sydney, Johannesburg. The structures had appeared over every major city on Earth, all at the same time. We just saw Los Angeles first because of time zones. Because it was morning in California, but they were everywhere, hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The world's governments tried to respond. Of course they did. The U.S. military scrambled fighter jets. In Los Angeles and New York, in D.C., I watched the coverage, F-16s streaking across the sky toward these creatures. They looked like gnats compared to the things they were approaching. The first missile strike happened at 12:47 p.m. Eastern. A fighter jet over Los Angeles fired on one of the creatures. The missile flew straight and true. It struck the creature directly in what we assumed was its center mass. And nothing happened. The missile exploded. I saw the flash, the smoke. But when it cleared, the creature was still there, gliding through the air like nothing had touched it. No damage, no reaction. It just kept moving. They tried again and again. Missiles, bullets, everything we had. Nothing worked. The creatures didn't fight back at first. They didn't even seem to notice. They just kept spreading out, moving through our cities like they were exploring. Like they were taking inventory. That was the first day. Tuesday, November 12th. The day the world realized we weren't alone. The day we realized we were no longer at the top of the food chain. Static interruption. The sound of something crashing in the distance. Hold on. I need to check something. Footsteps. A door opening. Silence. Door closing. Footsteps returning. False alarm. Just something falling in the hallway. The building's been abandoned since yesterday. It's just me now, and every sound feels significant. Where was I? Right, Tuesday, the first day. By evening, the creatures had spread across every major city. They weren't attacking, not exactly. But they were doing something. People who got too close started feeling sick, nauseous, disoriented. Some collapsed. Some started bleeding from their noses, their ears. The hospitals filled up fast with people who'd been too close to the creatures, who'd been touched by that purple light they emitted. And then there were the missing people. It started in Los Angeles, but by Tuesday night, it was happening everywhere. People were vanishing. Not in huge numbers at first. A few dozen here, 100 there. But always the same pattern. Someone would be walking down a street where one of the creatures was hovering. They'd get close, and then they'd just be gone. One moment they were there, the next moment they weren't. No sound, no flash of light. Just absence. The news anchors tried to stay professional, tried to keep people calm. But you could see it in their eyes. You could hear it in their voices. They were terrified. We were all terrified. I went into the station Tuesday night for my regular shift. The station manager, Phyllis, was there with Danny and a skeleton crew. She called us into her office. "I don't know what's going to happen," she said, "but we need to keep broadcasting. People need information. They need to hear a human voice. So we're staying on the air as long as we can." Danny volunteered to do a double shift, covering the afternoon slot. Phyllis would handle management and coordinate with the emergency broadcast system. And me? I'd do what I always did. The overnight, the graveyard shift. Never had that name felt more appropriate. That night, I played music. Jazz, like always. But between every set, I gave updates. I read the news bulletins as they came in. I tried to sound calm. Tried to sound like everything would be okay. I lied to you. All of us in radio, in TV, in those first hours we lied. We told you to stay calm, stay inside, wait for instructions from authorities. But we didn't know what the authorities were doing. We didn't know if there was a plan. Sound of a door slamming somewhere in the building. Marcus pauses. I'm going to keep the lights off from now on. Just the board lights and my desk lamp. I don't want to draw attention. Wednesday, November 13th. Day 2. I woke up to the sound of explosions. Distant, but distinct. I looked out my window and saw smoke rising from the direction of the airport. Later I found out that the military had tried a coordinated strike against the main structure that had appeared over Philadelphia. They used everything: missiles, bombs, even speculated that they'd deployed tactical nuclear weapons in some locations overseas, though that was never confirmed. Nothing worked. The structures, the ships, whatever they were, they couldn't be damaged. They just hung there in the sky, impassive and immense, while we threw everything we had at them. And then they started fighting back. It began in Beijing. One of the creatures, and by now we'd started calling them rays, because we needed to call them something. One of the rays was hit by a barrage of anti-aircraft fire. The shells didn't hurt it, but maybe they annoyed it, or maybe it was just time. Maybe they'd been patient long enough. The ray stopped moving. It hovered over a busy intersection in the Dongcheng district, and then it pulsed. That's the only word for it. The bioluminescent patterns running through its body flared bright, brilliant purple, and a wave of energy expanded outward from it. Not heat, not radiation. Something else. Something we don't have instruments to measure. Everyone within a 3-block radius collapsed. Just fell down where they were standing. Cars crashed. Buildings shook. And when the pulse faded, those people didn't get up. They were alive, their hearts were beating, their lungs were breathing. But they were gone, empty. Their eyes were open but unfocused. They could walk if you guided them, but they couldn't speak, couldn't respond. They were husks. Within an hour, it was happening in every city. The rays were pulsing, creating more husks. And the husks started moving toward the main structures, the motherships. They walked in silence, thousands of them, converging on those massive triangular vessels hanging in the sky. Nobody knew what to do. The military couldn't stop the rays. The police couldn't manage the crowds of husks stumbling through the streets. Governments issued conflicting orders: evacuate the cities, stay in your homes, head to designated safe zones. It was chaos. The cell network started failing Wednesday afternoon. Too many people trying to call, trying to reach loved ones. The internet was spotty. Power grids were flickering as the creatures moved near electrical infrastructure, but radio still worked. Radio always works. It's simple. It's reliable. It's there when everything else fails. That's why I'm still here. Wednesday night, I came to the station expecting to find Phyllis and Danny, but the building was mostly empty. Phyllis left me a note. Her daughter was in New York. She'd gotten a call that her daughter had been caught in one of the pulses, had become a husk. Phyllis was going to try to reach her. I never saw Phyllis again. Danny was gone too. No note. I tried calling him, but the cell networks were down. I'd like to think he made it out of the city. He had family in Vermont. Maybe he's there. Maybe he's safe. But I doubt it. I did my shift Wednesday night alone. I'd lost count of how many updates I'd read by then. The situation was deteriorating everywhere. The husks were being taken up into the structures. People reported seeing them lifted into the air, pulled up by beams of that purple light. Nobody knew what was happening to them once they were inside. And the rays were multiplying. Every few hours, more would emerge from the structures. Different types too. Some were small, the size of cars. Others were massive, bigger than buildings. Some moved fast, darting through the sky. Others drifted slowly, methodically. But all of them had that same bioluminescent glow, that same wrongness about them. Thursday, November 14th. Yesterday, though it feels like it was years ago. I slept in the station. Didn't feel safe trying to get home. When I woke up, I checked the news feeds. Most of the major networks were off the air. CNN had gone dark. BBC was intermittent. Social media was a mess of rumors and panic and unverifiable videos. But I found some independent streams. Citizen journalists broadcasting from their homes, from rooftops, from cars. And what they showed me: the cities were falling. Not physically, the buildings were still standing. But the cities as we knew them were gone. In New York, there were more husks than people. In London, the streets were empty except for the creatures moving through them like sharks through water. In Tokyo, fires burned unchecked because there was no one left to fight them. The structures had started doing something new. They were extending tendrils down to the ground. Long, writhing appendages that looked like a cross between cables and veins. They were connecting to buildings, to power plants, to infrastructure. Tapping in, feeding. Some scientists, the ones still broadcasting, still trying to make sense of it all, speculated that the creatures were terraforming. Changing Earth's atmosphere, its electromagnetic field, its fundamental nature, to make it more suitable for them. Whether that was true or not, the air did feel different. Tasted different. There was a metallic tang to it. A thickness. I tried to keep broadcasting. I played music, didn't matter what anymore. Jazz, rock, classical, whatever. I just wanted to fill the silence. Between songs, I talked, told stories. Read poetry, anything to maintain some sense of normalcy. Some sense that we were still here. Still human. Around noon, I heard gunshots, close. In the building, maybe, or just outside. I locked the studio door and stayed quiet for an hour. Eventually, the shooting stopped. I don't know who was firing or what they were shooting at. I didn't go to investigate. By evening, the power was flickering. The station has backup generators, but I didn't know how long the fuel would last. I made the decision then. If the power went out, if the generators failed, I'd keep broadcasting as long as I could on battery power. And when the batteries died, I hadn't figured that part out yet. Thursday night was quiet, too quiet. I kept expecting something to happen, for the creatures to attack the station, for the building to lose power, for something to force me off the air. But nothing did. The night passed slowly, and I talked to you. To whoever was listening, I told you what I was seeing, what I was hearing. A few people called in. The phone still worked, sometimes. A woman in South Philly who was hiding in her basement with her kids. A guy who said he was broadcasting from a bunker in the Poconos. A teenager who just wanted to hear another human voice. We talked, brief conversations, punctuated by static and dead air. But we connected. That mattered. And then it was Friday, today, November 15th. Marcus takes a deep breath. The sound of something heavy being dragged outside the studio. This morning, I went to the window. The sun was rising, but you could barely tell. The sky was filled with rays, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all moving in patterns that seemed almost choreographed. And the structure, the one over Philadelphia, it was brighter than before. Pulsing with light. Active. I watched a group of husks walking down Market Street. 20 or 30 of them, moving in perfect unison toward the center of the city, toward the structure. They walked past overturned cars, past abandoned storefronts, past bodies lying in the street. They didn't stop, didn't acknowledge any of it. They just walked. And then I saw the military convoy. 5 or 6 vehicles, Humvees and a tank, racing down Market from the west. They were driving fast, erratically, like they were running from something. They got maybe 2 blocks past my building before the rays found them. 3 of the smaller rays, the ones about the size of cars, descended on the convoy like birds of prey. I couldn't hear what was happening from behind my window, but I could see. The rays pulsed, once, twice. The vehicles swerved, crashed into each other, into buildings. Soldiers stumbled out, firing their weapons. The bullets passed through the rays like they were shooting at ghosts. More pulses. The soldiers collapsed. Within minutes, they were husks, shambling toward the structure with all the others. I closed the blinds after that. I couldn't watch anymore. The power went out around 10 a.m. The backup generators kicked in immediately. I checked the fuel gauge. If I'm careful, if I only run the essentials, I have maybe 36 hours. Maybe less. I've been broadcasting all day, no music anymore. Just talking, telling this story, our story. The story of how we lost Earth in 3 days. Sound of breaking glass in the distance. Marcus stops speaking, listens, continues quietly. They're getting closer. I can hear them now. Not just the rays, they're always silent, but the husks. There are hundreds of them outside, maybe thousands, all walking toward the center of the city. I can hear their footsteps. It sounds like rain, like a storm approaching. And I can hear something else, a humming, a vibration. It's coming from the structure. It's been getting louder all day. I think it's building to something. I think something's about to happen. Papers rustling. Marcus's voice becomes more urgent. I need to tell you the rest. While I still can. While there's still power. While I'm still me. Part 2. The resistance. Not everyone gave up. I want you to know that. In these last days I've heard stories. Received messages. Intercepted radio transmissions. And even though we lost or losing, we fought. God, did we fight? Let me tell you about Major Sarah Chun. I never met her, but I heard her voice over a military frequency Thursday night. She was leading a squad in what was left of Washington, D.C. They'd been cut off from command when the Pentagon was overrun. 20 soldiers, a handful of civilians they'd picked up, and one very stubborn major who refused to surrender. She got on the radio and broadcast to anyone who was listening. "We've learned something," she said. "The husks, they're not dead. The people inside are still there. We captured one, studied it. The transformation it's biological, neural, but it might be reversible." She said they'd found a frequency that disrupted the rays' pulses. Nothing that could hurt them, but something that could interfere with their effect. They were broadcasting it from their position, trying to create a safe zone. "If anyone's out there," she said, "if any scientists, any engineers can hear this, the frequency is 28.4 gigahertz, amplitude modulated. It buys you time." I tried to spread her message. Broadcast it during my shift. I don't know if it did any good. I don't know what happened to Major Chun and her squad. The frequency went silent Friday morning. But she tried. They tried. And then there was Dr. James Morrison at the CDC. He was working around the clock in a sealed lab in Atlanta, trying to understand the biological changes the rays were causing. He posted updates to a scientific forum until the internet went down. Then he switched to radio. "Amateur frequencies. It's not an infection," he reported Wednesday night. "It's transformation. The rays are emitting some kind of field that rewrites human neural patterns, changes our brain chemistry, makes us compatible with them, with their technology, their biology, whatever they are." He thought that's what the husks were. Humans being converted into components. Living batteries, interfaces. We weren't being exterminated. We were being harvested, repurposed. "But here's the thing," he said, and I could hear the desperate hope in his voice. "Biology can be changed. What was rewritten can be rewritten again. If we can just figure out the mechanism." His last transmission came Thursday afternoon. "They found the lab. They're breaching the static." Then there were the civilians. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I got a call Wednesday night from a man named Robert Diaz. He was a high school teacher in Camden, just across the river. When the rays came, when everyone started evacuating, he stayed, gathered up students who had nowhere to go. Kids whose parents were gone, or husks, or dead. "I've got 32 of them," he told me. His voice was steady, calm, like he was discussing lesson plans. "We're in the school, locked down. Enough food for maybe a week if we're careful. And I'm teaching them. Every day, math, history, English. Because even if the world ends, they deserve to know that someone thought they were worth educating." I asked him if he was scared. There was a long pause. "Terrified," he said. "But these kids are looking at me. And I need to show them that humanity doesn't end just because the world does. That we're worth something. That we matter." I tried calling him back Thursday night, Friday morning. No answer, but he mattered. They all mattered. There was the woman in San Francisco who was broadcasting from a ham radio setup in her attic. She'd lost her husband to the pulses, her daughter to the husks. But she stayed on the air, coordinating between scattered groups of survivors, creating a network of safe houses and hidden routes through the city. There was the firefighter crew in Chicago that went back into the burning buildings to rescue people, even as the rays circled overhead. They saved 60 people before their station was overrun. There were the doctors and nurses who stayed at their posts, the police officers who maintained order even as chaos consumed everything, the parents who protected their children, the strangers who helped other strangers. We fought, not just with guns and missiles. We fought with compassion, with determination, with the stubborn human refusal to go quietly into the dark. And I'm fighting too, in my own way, by staying here, by broadcasting, by making sure that someone, somewhere knows what happened, that we were here, that we tried. A loud crash, closer than before. Marcus's breathing quickens. The building's not safe anymore. I can hear them in the stairwell, the husks. They're coming up, slowly, methodically. I don't think they're looking for me specifically. I think they're just gathering everyone, everything, drawing it all toward the structures. But I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to stop being me. I've barricaded the door, moved the filing cabinets against it. It won't hold long. Maybe an hour, maybe less. But it'll be enough. Enough to tell you the rest. Sound of Marcus moving equipment. The scrape of furniture. Let me tell you about the evacuation attempts, because that happened too. In those first days, when we still thought we could run, that we could hide, the government tried to evacuate the major cities. It was a disaster. The highways jammed up within hours. Millions of people trying to leave at once. Accidents, breakdowns, abandoned vehicles, and the rays followed. They moved faster than traffic, swooped down on the highways and pulsed, turned entire columns of refugees into husks. Some people made it to the rural areas. Small towns in the Midwest, mountain communities, the far north. Places without structures overhead, at least at first. But the rays spread. Every hour they covered more ground. By Thursday, there were reports of them in Montana, in Alaska, in remote parts of Canada and Russia. Nowhere was safe. Nowhere was far enough. The oceans didn't help either. The Navy tried to stay offshore, out of range. But the rays could swim or fly, or whatever it is they do. Witnesses reported seeing them moving through water like it was air. They attacked the carriers, the destroyers. By Thursday evening, most of the fleet was either sunk or crewed by husks. Some people went underground, literally, subway tunnels, mine shafts, caves, that worked for a while. The rays seemed to prefer open air. But then the structures started sending down those tendrils, burrowing, reaching, finding everyone, finding everything. I heard a broadcast from a group hiding in an old Cold War bunker in North Dakota. 200 people. Sealed in, safe. They had food for months, water, air filtration. They thought they'd made it. They thought they could wait it out until what? Until help came? Until the aliens left? Their last message came Thursday night. Something's digging. We can hear it. It's coming through the concrete. It's nothing after that. That's when I realized the truth. The truth I've been avoiding saying out loud. We've already lost. There's no coming back from this. No last-minute save. No miracle cure. No alien weakness we can exploit. This isn't a movie. There's no hero coming to save us. The Earth belongs to them now. We're just leftovers, remnants. And soon we won't even be that. Long silence. When Marcus speaks again, his voice is quieter. more resigned. I wonder what they want. I've been thinking about that. Are they conquering us? Are we a resource to be exploited? Or is it simpler than that? Maybe Earth is just real estate. Maybe we're the previous tenants who haven't quite moved out yet. An infestation to be cleared before they move in. Or maybe they don't think about us at all. Maybe we're as incomprehensible to them as they are to us. Maybe when a ray pulses and turns someone into a husk, it's not malicious, it's just what they do. The way we don't think twice about stepping on an ant. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. But I'll tell you what I do know. What I've learned in these 3 days. I've learned that humanity is resilient. That even when faced with something utterly beyond our comprehension, we adapt, we fight, we survive. Even if that survival is only measured in hours instead of years. I've learned that we're more connected than we realized. Every call I've taken, every story I've heard, they're all different, but they're all the same. People trying to hold on, to help each other, to matter. I've learned that fear and courage aren't opposites. They're the same thing. Everyone I've talked to has been terrified. But they kept going anyway. That's what courage is. Not the absence of fear, just the refusal to let it stop you. And I've learned that this radio station, this microphone, these broadcasts, this matters. Maybe not in any grand cosmic sense. Maybe my words won't change anything, won't save anyone. But they'll exist. This recording will exist. Someone someday might hear it, might know what happened here, might know that we were real. That's enough. That has to be enough. The sound of something heavy hitting the studio door. Wood cracking. Marcus gasps. They're here. The husks. They're breaking through the barricade. I can see fingers coming through the gap. Too many fingers. All moving together. All perfectly synchronized. Sounds of struggle. The microphone being moved. I'm switching to battery power. The generators in the main building. If they get to it, if they shut it down, battery power will give me another hour. Maybe 2. I need you to understand something. If you're listening to this, if somehow you've survived, if you're somewhere safe, somewhere they haven't found yet, don't give up. I know how it looks. I know how it feels. Like we've lost everything. Like there's no point. But you're still you. You're still human. You still have thoughts, feelings, memories, dreams. They can't take that away. Not unless you let them. So hold on to it. Hold on to your humanity. Hold on to what makes you you. Because that's all we have left. And it's everything. The door splinters. Footsteps enter the studio. Many footsteps moving in unison. They're inside. I can see them now. 12. 15. More coming. Their eyes are open but empty. They're reaching for me, not grabbing. Not attacking, just reaching. Like they want to pull me in, make me one of them. I'm backing into the corner, behind the equipment. It won't help. But I need these last few minutes. I need to finish this. Marcus's breathing is rapid, panicked, but his voice stays steady. Let me tell you about the sky. The last thing I saw before I closed the blinds. The structures, all of them, all across the world, they've been pulsing in sync. For the last hour, I've been feeling it. A rhythm, a heartbeat. The whole planet is beating like a drum. I think they're almost done. Almost finished with whatever they're doing. Transforming the Earth. Converting us. Reshaping everything into something new. And when they're done, I don't know. Maybe they'll leave. Maybe they'll stay. Maybe it won't matter because there won't be any humans left to care. But right now, in this moment, I'm still here. I'm still me, Marcus Webb, 42 years old, radio broadcaster. Lover of jazz and strong coffee and rainy afternoons. Son of Daniel and Martha. Brother to Amy. Uncle to little Sophie who just turned 7. I'm real. I existed. I mattered. We all did. The husks are very close now. They're shuffling footsteps around the microphone. They're touching me. Their hands are cold. So cold. And I can feel something. a pulling sensation, in my head. In my chest, like something's tugging at the core of who I am. Trying to unravel me. I'm scared. God, I'm so scared. But I'm not stopping. Not yet. His voice begins to waver. If you're listening to this, if anyone ever hears this recording, remember us. Remember what we were, what we tried to be. Remember that we looked up at the stars and dreamed of meeting other life. We dreamed of connection, of understanding, of not being alone in the universe. Be careful what you wish for. A pulse of sound, deep, resonant. The microphone distorts. That's the structure. It's doing something. The building's shaking. I can feel it in my bones. In my teeth. The husks are. They're stopping. Standing still. Waiting. They're all looking in the same direction. Toward the center of the city. Toward the structure. I think it's time. I think Marcus's voice changes. Becomes distant. Dreamy. Oh, I see. It's beautiful. The light. It's showing me. I can see all of them, all of us, connected, every mind. Every husk. We're not separate. We're one. We're a long pause. When Marcus speaks again, his voice is his own. Desperate. Fighting. No, I'm not. I'm me. I'm Marcus. The light is everywhere. Purple and violet and colors I don't have names for. It's inside my head. Inside my thoughts. It's reading me, copying me. Taking everything I am, and he's crying now. The tears are audible in his voice. I don't want to go. I don't want to stop being me. Please, his voice breaks. Mom, Amy, Sophie, I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't. Another pulse. Longer. Deeper. The microphone crackles with interference. It doesn't hurt. That's the strangest thing. I thought it would hurt. Thought losing yourself would be painful. But it's not. It's like falling asleep, like letting go. I can feel myself dissolving, all my memories, my fears, my dreams. They're floating away like ashes in the wind. But I'm still here. For a few more seconds. I'm still here. So let me say this. Let me say it while I still can. We were here. Humanity was here. We built cities and wrote poems and composed symphonies and reached for the stars. We loved and fought and laughed and cried. We were messy and beautiful and complicated and real. We mattered. I mattered. And even though we're ending, even though they're taking everything, they can't take what we were. They can't erase the fact that we existed. That we tried. His voice becomes monotone, flat, empty, silence. Then, in Marcus's voice, but without any inflection or emotion, this is WEND-FM. 104.7 on your dial. Broadcasting. The sound continues, the same sentence. Over and over, for minutes. Then the transmission cuts to static. Part 3. After the silence, static. For a long time, there's only static. Then, faintly, a new voice emerges from the noise. Younger, scared. Is anyone there? Is anyone listening? My name is Lily Parker. I'm 17 years old. I'm broadcasting from, I don't even know where I am anymore. Some town in Pennsylvania. Used to be called Harrisburg, I think. The signs are all knocked down. I found this radio station. Or what's left of it. The building's mostly collapsed, but the emergency broadcast equipment is still running. Still has power somehow. And I found recordings. Lots of them. From the invasion. From those 3 days. This one was labeled Marcus Webb, final broadcast, November 15th. I listened to it, all of it. And I needed to add to it, to let someone know that the story didn't end there. It's been 6 months. 6 months since the structures appeared, since the rays came, since the world ended. I should probably tell you that I survived. Obviously, right? I'm talking, so I survived. But I don't know how. I don't know why I wasn't turned into a husk when so many others were. I was in Pittsburgh when it happened. with my family. My mom, my dad, my little brother Josh. We were in our basement when the pulses started. We could feel them, like waves of pressure passing through the house. Through us. Josh started crying. Dad was trying to get the TV to work. Mom was holding us, telling us it would be okay. And then, they just stopped. Mom and Dad, they stood up, their eyes went blank, and they walked upstairs. Opened the front door. Walked out into the street with all our neighbors. All the other husks. Walking toward the structure hanging over downtown, Josh and I hid. We didn't know what else to do. We stayed in that basement for 2 days. When we finally came out, the city was empty. Everyone was gone. The streets were full of abandoned cars, open doors, half-eaten meals on tables. But no people. Except the husks, they were everywhere. Standing in groups, walking in formation, all heading toward the structures. We ran, just started running, away from the city. Away from the rays, we found other survivors. A group hiding in a farmhouse outside of town, 13 of us. We stayed there for a week, trying to figure out what to do, where to go. The rays found us anyway. They always found us. Everyone was pulsed except me. I don't know why. I was standing right there. I felt the wave pass through me. But I didn't change, didn't become a husk. Josh did though. My little brother. He looked at me with those empty eyes and walked away with the others. Left me alone. I've been alone ever since. Well, not entirely alone. I've found other survivors. There are more of us than you might think. Small groups scattered around, hiding in the ruins. The rays don't bother with us much anymore. I think they got everyone they needed, the rest of us. We're just not worth the effort. The structures are still here, still hanging over what used to be cities. But they're different now. They've grown. Extended down to the ground. They look like massive trees now, with roots burrowing deep into the earth and branches reaching up into the sky. And they're pulsing, always pulsing. That same purple light. But it's slower now, rhythmic, like the planet's breathing. The air is different, thicker. Sometimes it's hard to breathe. The sky's a weird color too. Not quite the blue I remember. More purple. More like them. And there are new things, growing. The rays built structures of their own. Buildings, I guess, though they don't look like any buildings I've ever seen. They're organic, curved. They pulse with that same light. And sometimes I see things moving in them. Shapes that might be the rays, or might be something else. Something new. I think Earth is theirs now, not becoming theirs. Is theirs. We lost, completely, totally, and they're, I don't know, living here, existing here. This is their planet now. But we're still here too. The leftovers, the immune. The forgotten. I've been traveling, looking for other survivors. Trying to build something, anything, some kind of community. Some way to keep going. I've found radios in abandoned houses. Broadcast equipment. And I've started collecting these recordings. Stories from the invasion, from the 3 days. Because Marcus was right. It matters. Our story matters. What happened to us matters. Even if no one's left to hear it. Even if it's just me and a handful of others, hiding in the ruins of our world. We were here. We existed. We mattered. And maybe someday someone will find these recordings. Maybe humans somewhere else in the galaxy. Or maybe whatever species comes after us. After them. When the universe moves on and leaves us all behind, they'll find these broadcasts. And they'll know. They'll know that Earth had people once. That we loved and dreamed and tried to survive. That we didn't go quietly. That even at the end, someone was still broadcasting. Still fighting. Still trying to matter. Lily's voice breaks. I miss my family. I miss Josh. I miss my mom and dad. I miss my friends, my school, my stupid part-time job at the coffee shop. I miss everything, but I'm still here. And I'm going to keep broadcasting. Keep collecting stories. Keep being human. Because that's all I can do. That's all any of us can do. So if you're out there, if you're listening, if you survived, you're not alone. There are more of us. And we're still here. We're still fighting. Not fighting them, that war's over. But fighting to remember. Fighting to hold on to what we were. Fighting to matter. My radio's at 28.4 megahertz. I'll be broadcasting every night at midnight. If you can hear this, if you can reach me, find me, join me, let's build something. Even if it's just a collection of stories. A record of what we were. Because we were something. And we deserve to be remembered. This is Lily Parker, signing off, but not ending. Never ending. We're still here. We're still human, and that still matters. Static. Then faintly in the background, the sound of wind. And something else. Something that might be music. Might be voices. Might be hope. The transmission continues, waiting, reaching out into the void. Refusing to be silenced. End broadcast. Epilogue. The archive. A final recording. Undated. The voice is mechanical. Synthesized. But underneath it, there's something almost human. This archive has been preserved. All broadcasts, all recordings, all stories from the period designated as the invasion have been collected and stored. 147,394 individual transmissions. 23,891 hours of audio. The voices of 8,273 individual humans. All preserved. All cataloged. All remembered. This archive is located at coordinates redacted. It is protected. It will be maintained indefinitely. Any survivors may access this archive at any time. Contribute to it. Add their stories, their voices. The purpose of this archive is to ensure that what was lost is not forgotten. Humanity matters. Your stories matter. You matter. Even in silence, even in ending, you matter. This message will repeat every hour on all frequencies forever. We remember you. We remember. The transmission ends. But somewhere in the ruins of Philadelphia, in an old radio station building that's been partially rebuilt, a light glows. Red, steady, eternal.